Beginning assessment of subject 1247. Meryl Kemp, hour 10. Good morning, Meryl. I understand you have a problem you wish to report to me. Is that true?
Yeah.
So as you've told the orderlies on multiple occasions, I understand that you recently have been having some trouble sleeping. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it says here that... I'm sorry, could you reaffirm me with what's been keeping you awake?
Pop goes the weasel.
I beg your pardon?
Pop goes the weasel.
Yes, that's it. You reported that you've been hearing someone playing Pop Goes the Weasel outside your cell. With a... squeeze box?
Yeah.
Meryl, I've been speaking with the orderlies who work on night duty, and all of them have assured me that they have never heard what you've been complaining about. Are you absolutely sure?
He's back.
Huh? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
He's back. I should have known that this place wouldn't protect me from him.
From who, may I ask?
From him. You know, Jack.
Ah, yes, this Laughing Jack you used to speak of. And do you think this person is the one...
He's not a person! He's...
He is what, Meryl?
Well, I was going to use the word monster, but I don't even think that word can describe him accurately.
Now, Meryl, I understand you're still troubled by your past, but I thought we'd come to agreement that...
I'm not mad! They called me insane. And for a while, I thought I was... You're right, I started to think I did make Laughing Jack up, but it wasn't me. I didn't find him. James did. Or maybe Jack found him. I don't know.
James, you mean. Your son, am I right? Alright. Tell me about how your son found this Laughing Jack.
Well, it was a nice summer day. I know that sounds cliche, but that's how it began. James must have been 6? No, 7. He was playing outside in the backyard of our suburban home. My baby. He was always a quiet boy. He played by himself mostly. He never had many friends, but he always had a wild imagination. Fido, stop that! I'm getting your food now. There you go, now settle down and eat it. I was in the kitchen, feeding our dog Fido, when I heard what sounded like James talking to someone in the backyard.
Jack, slow down. You're too good at racing.
I wasn't sure who it was he was talking to. Maybe he'd finally made a friend? Being a single mom, it was hard for me to always keep an eye on my son. So I decided to go outside and check on him. But when I went into the backyard, I was a bit confused because James was the only person there. I could have sworn I heard another voice. Or at least someone laughing. James, it's time to come inside.
Oh, coming, Mommy.
You hungry? Come on, I'll make you some lunch. What do you fancy?
Ew, cookies. Lots of cookies.
Nice try, you little scamp. You know cookies are for after dinner. You can have a sandwich instead. Oh, by the way, who are you talking to out there, James?
I was just playing with my new friend.
A new friend? I didn't see any new friend with you.
Well, he said he had to go home, but he promised to come back, Mommy. Can you come and have lunch with us next time?
Huh? Oh, I suppose maybe next time. James, what was his name?
His name is Laughing Jack, and he's a clown. He's so funny, Mom. He has long hair and a big swirly cone nose. He's got long arms and baggy pants with stripy socks, and he wouldn't stop smiling. He's such a great friend.
I couldn't help but give a sigh of relief. Any concerns I had were brushed away as I realized my son was talking about an imaginary friend. I know it's normal for kids his age to have imaginary friends, and I suppose it didn't surprise me that much since James barely had any real friends to play with. The rest of the day went by as per usual, and it was starting to get late, so I put James to bed. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and made sure to turn on his nightlight before I closed the door. I stayed up for a little while longer, but soon I felt pretty tired myself, and decided to go to bed. But as I passed James's room, I caught the sound of him giggling behind the door. James, what are you doing awake?
Quick, hide.
I quickly opened the door and caught James trying to climb into bed. His action figures were scattered all over the floor. James, do you realize what time it is? You should be asleep. And who are you talking to?
Sorry, Mommy. Laughing Jack came and he wanted to play with me some more. They told me that you're not allowed to see him, otherwise he wouldn't play with me anymore.
Oh, I see. Well, in future, if Laughing Jack tries to play with you at bedtime, tell him to go home, okay? Because you need your sleep, young man.
Okay, Mommy, I'll tell him.
I helped James put the toys back in his toy box and tucked him in all over again. Afterwards, I went to sleep myself. I had an awful nightmare. It was dark. I was in some kind of rundown amusement park. I was scared, running through an endless field of empty tents, broken down rides, and abandoned game huts. The whole place had a horrible look to it. Everything was black and white. The prized stuffed animals all hung from nooses in the game huts, all with sick grins stitched on their faces. It felt like the whole park was looking at me, even though there wasn't another living thing in sight. Then, suddenly, I began to hear music play. The sounds of Pop Goes the Weasel being played on a squeeze box echoed through the park. It was hypnotizing. I followed its tune towards a circus tent, almost in a trance, unable to stop my legs from moving forward. It was pitch black. The only light came from a single spotlight shining on the center of the big top. As I walked towards the light, the music slowed down, and I found myself singing along, unable to stop. All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey, though 'twas all in fun. The music stopped right before its climax, and suddenly the light shut on. The intensity of the lights was practically blinding. All I could see was a small, dark silhouette shuffle towards me. Then another one appeared. And another. And another. There were dozens of them, all coming toward me. I couldn't move, my legs were frozen. All I could do was watch as the figures drew nearer. As they got closer, I could see. They were children. As I looked at each one, I noticed they were all horribly disfigured and mutilated. Some had cuts all over their bodies, others were severely burned, and others were missing limbs. A couple of them were even missing their eyes. The children enveloped me, clawing at my flesh, dragging me to the ground, and tearing inside me. As the children tore me apart and I faded away, all I could hear was laughter. Horrible, awful, evil laughter. I woke up in a cold sweat. After taking a few deep breaths, I looked over and saw that a few of James's action figures from the night before were positioned facing me on top of my nightstand. I sighed.
Looks like the escapades of James and Laughing Jack are still going on.
I gathered up the toys and made my way to James's room. However, when I opened the door, James was sound asleep. I just shrugged, put the toys away, and went downstairs to the living room. A little while later, James woke up and I made him breakfast.
You're still tired? Did you get out of bed again last night?
Huh? No, I didn't.
Oh, come on, little scamp. I know you were still awake. After all, how else did your toys get into my room this morning?
I didn't put them there. Laughing Jack did. He got bored of them, so he said I couldn't play with them anymore.
So you were awake.
Okay, yes, but I promise I didn't put the toys in your room.
Well, you tell Laughing Jack to keep the toys in your room, okay?
James nodded and finished up his breakfast, then decided to go play out in the backyard with Fido the dog. I went to relax in the living room, and I must have dozed off, because I woke up a couple hours later.
Shit! I need to check on James!
I was a bit worried. It had been over 2 hours and I hadn't checked on him. I stepped out into the backyard, but James wasn't there anymore.
James! James, where are you?
Suddenly, I realized Fido was barking at the gate. And straight after that, I heard a giggle coming from the front yard. Fido and I rushed through the gate around to the front of the house. Fido sprinted ahead of me and suddenly started barking even louder at whatever he saw. I was quick to follow, and I found James sitting on the sidewalk, alone. I breathed a sigh of relief and walked over to him.
Oh, there you are. You had me worried, scamp. How many times have I told you to stay in the backyard? James, what are you eating?
James looked up at me, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of hard candies in all colors.
James, who gave you that candy? James, look at me. Tell Mommy where you got that candy.
Laughing Jack gave them to me.
Oh, for the love of... James, listen. I've had enough of this damn Laughing Jack thing. He is not real. Now, this is a very serious situation. I need to know who gave you that candy.
But Mommy, Laughing Jack did give me that candy. I promise.
James, spit out the candy. We're throwing all of it away.
I was so scared that whoever gave them to him had poisoned or infected them somehow. But James appeared to be fine for the rest of the day. I started to think I was just overreacting. After all, he could have gotten it from Tom from next door, or Mr. Walker from down the street. Either way, I decided to keep a closer eye on James. That night I put James to bed as usual and decided to go to bed early myself. Suddenly I was woken up by a loud bang coming from the kitchen. I sprung out of bed and hurried down the stairs. When I got to the kitchen, I was horrified. Everything on the counters had been thrown on the floor and Fido, he hung dead from the light fixture. His stomach was cut open and stuffed with candy. The same type James was eating earlier that day.
What the fuck? Ouch!
Mommy!
I quickly grabbed a knife from the drawer and moved up the stairs with the speed that only a mother whose child is in danger could have. I burst through the door and flicked on the lights. Everything in the room was knocked over and tossed on the floor. My poor son was in his bed, crying and shaking with fear. I scooped him up and ran out of the house and went next door to Tom's house.
Tom, open the door! Open the door!
Meryl? What's wrong? Are you two okay?
I think someone's in our house. They killed our dog and... Oh, please just let me call the police!
Oh, okay. Here, I'll take James and go and use the phone quick.
I called the police. It didn't take them long to arrive, but when I explained what had happened, they looked at me as if I was crazy. It wasn't until they found Fido did they start to believe me. They searched the entire house, but all they found was the dead dog and 2 trash rooms. The officer told me that someone had probably broken into the house and done this right before making a quick escape when they heard me coming up the stairs. Oh, total bullshit. All the doors were locked and none of the windows were open. Whatever was in my house didn't come from outside. The police tried talking to James, but he was too upset to reply. Tom let us stay in his house that night. The next day, after I cleaned the house and, well, took care of Fido, James stayed inside. I didn't want him to leave my sight. I went into the garage and found his old baby monitor, and set it up in his room. If anything went into his room that night, I was going to be able to hear it. For extra precaution, I went into the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife from the drawer and put it on my nightstand. Soon enough, night came. I put James to bed. He was afraid, but I promised him that I wasn't going to let anything happen to him. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and turned on his nightlight. But just before I left...
Mommy, it was Laughing Jack.
What did you say?
He didn't want me to play with Fido anymore. He doesn't like animals. He said they got him into trouble with his first best friend. And then Fido saw him giving me the sweets and... I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm sorry. Fido's dead and it's my fault.
I was such an idiot. I didn't believe him. I didn't even connect the sweets James was eating to the sweet stuff in the Fido. I should have taken him to my own bed, but I just settled him down again. Before closing the door, I whispered to him, "Good night, James. I love you." I tried to stay up as long as I could, but after a few hours I felt myself drifting off. Just as I laid my head on the pillow, I heard a soft noise coming from the baby monitor. At first it sounded like interference, like the kind of radio would make. Then it turned into a soft moan. I thought at first it may have just been James sleeping. Then I heard it. The laugh from my nightmare. That horrible laugh. I jumped out of bed and grabbed the knife. I rushed over to James's room and creaked the door open. I tried the light switch, but it wouldn't come on. I took a step in and I could feel the warm, thick liquid on my feet. Suddenly, James's nightlight came on and oh my, oh no, oh my God. I'm sure you know what I saw. Him nailed up on the wall and his organs. Oh God. No. You know by now. I can't talk about it, but it's just that moan. That soft, desperate moan. What the? He's still alive? No! My baby! Oh, fuck! My sickness was interrupted by a horrible cackle coming from behind me. I spun around while still wiping bile from my mouth. Then, out of the corner of the room, there he was. Laughing Jack. He was exactly how James had described him, but nothing like how I'd pictured him. His skin was ghost white, and his matted black hair hung down to his shoulders. He had piercing white eyes surrounded by dark black rings. His twisted smile revealed a row of sharp, jagged teeth, and his skin didn't look like skin at all. It almost looked like rubber or plastic. He wore a patchy black and white clown outfit, and his body was grotesque. His long arms hung down past his waist, and the way he was poised made him look almost boneless, like a ragdoll. He let out a sickening laugh as if to let me know he was pleased with my reaction to his work. Then turned around slowly in front of James and began to laugh even more at the horrific sight he had laid out. That was enough.
Get away! Get away from him, you bastard!
I rushed at the monster, raising the knife above my head, and stabbed down at him. But as soon as the knife touched him, he disappeared in a cloud of black smoke. The knife passed right through and pierced James's still beating heart.
No! Oh, God! What have I done? No! 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 My baby! I've killed my baby!
Meryl, what's going on in there?
My boy! My sweet baby boy! I promised Mommy would protect you. Why didn't I listen to you? I'm sorry, James. I'm so sorry.
Meryl, if you can hear me, I'm calling the police.
There you have it. The police came, found me with a knife. The trial was short, but you know all of that, don't you? I won't bore you with the details. 2 years ago, when that all happened. But do you get it now? I know now that I never made that thing up. He's real. But why? Why my son?
Meryl, I'm awfully sorry about your son. I'll get the orderlies to listen out again for that music you've been hearing, okay?
Oh, yes, okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to me?
Do you have any kids?
Me? Well, yes, I have a daughter. She just turned 6 last week.
Keep a close eye on her. That's all.
Very well. I believe we're done here. Hello?
Hey, honey, how are you?
I'm good as always. Today was interesting, I can tell you that.
Oh, really? I'd have thought working at a place for the criminally insane would always be interesting.
Well, this one was pretty unique. I'll tell you about it when I get home. I'm on my way now. So how's our little sweetheart?
Oh, she's been very active today. You should see a picture she did at school. They're of her and her new imaginary friend.
Imaginary friend? Bless her. Guess she got bored of Mr. Fluff quickly. So who does she have now?
Oh, just some weird clown guy called John or Jack or something. Looks more like a mime than a clown to.
Wait. What was his name?
Wait a minute. She wrote it on one of the pictures. Here we go. It says Laughing Jack. This is quite a good picture, actually. Oh, I swear our baby girl will be an artist one day, don't you think? Hello? Honey, are you there?
Huh? Oh, yes. Sorry, darling. I have to go. I'll be back as quickly as possible.
Huh? Wait, what do you mean?
No. No, it couldn't be. Could it?